Um, we shall be finishing up the review of the new cards coming in about a couple of days, less than a week. We did the class cards yesterday, so we are going to be doing the neutral cards today. Let me know if it's up. I mean, I know it's up, but let me, confirm it if you'd like. So we're gonna start off with the legendaries. We're gonna move from there. I've changed the overall like for the class cards we had a rating of just the power level I feel they got for arena, but you can't really do that with neutral cards since it's all neutral related, and you can't really judge based on like legendary cards and things like that. So we're just going to put the chat in there and see how that feels. It probably won't matter, all things considered, but it's just nice to see the memes if you've never seen any of the Twitch emotes and things like that. It's can be cool. Anyways, we're done with introductions. We'll start with the first card, Zillax. Putting chat here might be risky. Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. Hopefully, I don't. Hopefully, it's not. It's not too bad. But whatever. It's whatever. So we got Zillax, magnetic divine shield, taunt, lifesteal, rush minion. So this card's comparable to the paladin, 5-drop with divine shield and rush. So I think it's a pretty powerful card. The fact that it has magnetic and lifesteal and taunt, just gives it a lot. Like, it gives it so much versatility. You can play as a baseline. It's not the best card in the world as a baseline. A 5-mana deal 3, gain a 3/2 with lifesteal. That's still like playable, right? But the fact that you drop this on any mech creature, and you really got a powerhouse to deal with. You've really got just a big flexible life gaining tanky minion that can attack immediately. It's just a really powerful card. So it's just it just seems like something you would really want to pick up in your arena decks if you have any mech synergy at all. Because even without the mech synergy, it's still a playable card. So with the mech synergy, it becomes quite insane. So this seems like a really good card for arena if you have the synergy, of course. I'm gonna give it a 1. That's very small. Oh man, let me resize that real quick. Holy moly, no one will be able to see that number. Alright, hopefully this is a little bit nicer. I could even see this being bigger. Look at all the technical things that you gotta do if you're not super, haven't pre-tested everything. I assumed it would work out of the box, but no. I will give this a 1, just because it seems really good. With synergy and even without synergy, it's still a pretty powerful card. Just testing. All right. So next we got Whizbang the Wonderful. I'm gonna give this a 5 because you're not gonna get it in arena. So it's actually unplayable, literally unplayable. So let's move on. Mecha Thud or Mecca whatever. If you have no cards in your deck, hand, and battlefield, destroy your enemy hero. That's pretty interesting, right? If you're running fatigue arena decks, you're still gonna be like, how do I trigger this? And is there even such a thing, fatigue arena decks? I mean, I'm probably the closest player to making fatigue arena decks, and even I still have no idea. It's just gonna be a 10 mana. It's gonna be a 10 mana 10/10 mech, right? And it might open up mech synergy and stuff. Like you play Mecha Thud, it doesn't die. You pop a Zillax on it, and you're good to go. 13/12 divine shield, lifesteal, rush minion. Well, not rush because it's already on the board, but taunt, you know, that's gonna give you some value. I think the fact that it's gonna have mech synergy doesn't really attack from the fact that it's still a 10 mana 10/10 does nothing. It's gonna get mind control and things like that. I'm gonna make it. It's gonna be probably worse than average, I would say. I was almost considering giving it an average scoreline, but 10 mana 10/10s they're worse than Ultrasaur. You know, I would maybe give Ultrasaur average, and then I'd give this thing like below average. It's not the only thing going for it is the mech synergy in this expansion, but that's not really something to, you know, go home about. This card, draw 5 different secrets from your deck. I'm gonna give this a 3 right off the bat, maybe a 3.5, because in a lot of classes you're not gonna have secrets. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. In the classes that do have secrets, it's going to be maybe playable, right? I don't like secrets in Arena personally, but there are some people that spam Spellstone Hunter no matter what, you know, because they like the easy way out. Oh, I get Spellstone Hunter, I win the game, you know, that kind of thing. But I just think that the stat line is quite bad, and in a lot of classes you're not really going to be having secrets, or even if you have a class that can pick secrets, oh, what, you gotta enable sacrifice. Whoop-de-doo. Maybe an auto defense matrix, now we're talking. But it's not going to be consistent, and its stat line is poor off the bat. So if it was like a 5/5, then this card would be quite good actually, but it's a 4/4, so no. Hardbringer Celestial. After your opponent plays a minion, become a copy of it. I'm gonna give this a 4 off the bat. It's a 4 mana mirror entity. Like this might even be a 4.5. Like, it's a 4 mana mirror entity. I mean, and mirror entity isn't that good. And mirror entity has synergy, being a spell, being a secret, and things like that. This doesn't have that stuff. It's just gonna, your opponent's gonna play out a low cost minion in a lot of cases. And the issue is the inconsistency, right? Like, you play this, and then they play Firefly, and then you're like, damn. You know, like, that's the like even if you play this 3 times in your run, and 2 of the times you get like a 3-drop or whatever, the game you get a Firefly, you're like, damn, I just lost, you know, because I played this legendary card. It made me lose. Just it's not consistent, and it's not powerful enough to be worth picking up. And I think you should avoid this card for sure. So those are the neutral cards. Omega Defender. What is this card? It's a Stegodon that dino sizes itself. Oh my god. When it's fed up of being you know, being carried around like a tool. It's not even gain like to 10 attack, it's gain plus 10 attack. This thing's a 12/6 with taunt. It kills Deathwing. You know? Like, what happened to Deathwing? Now it's it's getting polymorph, turning into sheeps. It's getting Omega Defendered. It's getting frozen for 6 turns. The Blizzard's enough to stop a Deathwing, you know, attacking. I don't know. Deathwing is just, it's seen better days. I think this card's gonna be quite powerful. Just the fact that once you hit turn 10, you can drop down a 12/6 for 4 mana. And you're just like, even at the worst, it's a Stegodon, which isn't like a great card, but isn't like unplayable. So I really feel like you can probably get some value out of this. No, the effect for the Celeste Year, it doesn't keep changing. I believe that they confirmed it only triggers once and then it's gone. Uh, Weaponized Pinata. Death Rider, add a random legendary minion to your hand. I like effects like this. I like cards that give you more cards. So this is kind of like a card for me. It's a 4 mana 4/3, which isn't good, but it's not unplayable. It also has Mech synergy available to it, and then you get a legendary minion, which it's kind of like inconsistent, but you have the chance of high rolling, and it's still a 4 mana 4/3 at the end of the day, which isn't great, but it's not unplayable. So I kind of like a card like this. Seems pretty solid to me. Stars aligned. If you control 2 other stars aligned, murder the board. Yeah, that's not going to happen in Arena. So it's a war golem. In a lot of cases, just a war golem. And what do I think about war golem? I think war golem's quite bad, honestly. It's not unplayable, and it's below average. So it's a war golem, right? I mean, there's not much to say about that. This is a war golem. It's not gonna be like broken or anything. A 3 mana 3/4. I think that the stat line itself is great, and I think the effect isn't really super relevant in Arena. When you shuffle a card, how often do you shuffle cards in Arena? Not that often. So it's just a 3 mana 3/4 beast, which is good. Great stat line. Like, this is the type of card you want to play. There's gonna be a lot of 3 mana 3/4s in Arena, so I think you got to be careful about 3 mana 3/3s nowadays, because of the fact that there's a ton of 3 mana 3/4s due to the expansion dropping a ton of them. So just something to keep in mind when you're drafting after the expansion hits. I think it's gonna be a good card though. EMP operative. Oh god, I hate that this is gonna be good, because there's too many mechs. I mean, I don't know. There's too many mechs, and there's too many high costing mechs, and you're gonna get, and it's destroy. It's not even deal 6 damage like the other guy. It's just destroy a mech and swing the game, right? Like, okay, so imagine you kill like a 3-drop mech, right? So it'd be like a 2 mana 3/3, even killing a 3-drop mech, and people are just gonna hold this until you play a mech. Like, it's gonna kill your pinatas and things like that. This is like, and especially at the beginning of the expansion, everyone's gonna take all the new cards and all the new mechs. So this thing is just gonna kill everything. Like, it's not gonna be a dead card in your hand. So this card is gonna be obnoxious. It's the new Dragon Slayer. Feels bad, man. Oh well. I mean, yeah. Oh well. What are you gonna do about it? Just make sure that you don't lose immediately if your mech gets EMP'd. Like, I think people will draft mechs a little bit less, or play mechs a little bit riskier, at least the powerful late game mechs, once they start seeing more of these. But I think at the first early stages, people are going to get hit by this, and they're just gonna be like, oh my god, this isn't fair, and I'll be right behind you saying yes, it's not fair. Well, what are you gonna do about it? All right. So, Sephorium Bomber. Shuffle a bomb into your opponent's deck. When it explodes, it deals 5 damage. So it's a 5 mana 5/5 that can essentially deal 5 damage to you eventually. This seems pretty great, to be honest. Like, a 5 mana 5/5 is like good stat line. I'd say it's average, maybe almost above average stat line, and the battle cries is pretty solid, right? You just eventually deal 5 damage to your opponent. Like, that's gonna be really good in a lot of classes. Hunter, rogue, anything that's not control, all those others. Although, you know, and you can also draft the aggro type. It's got a good stat line, and the effect is like usable. Like, deal 5 damage eventually. You're gonna kill people like that. People are gonna draft multiple copies of this, and then they're gonna bounce this as well. Like, you can see the rogue shadow stepping this card, right? Bomber, trade something, shadow step, play another bomber. You know, then, you know, gang up on it. The gang up minion, make 3 more in your deck, play 3 more of these. Kill him without touching their health. It seems like a good plan. Crystallizer. Deal 5 damage to your minion, gain 5 armor. Honestly, I love this card. I'm not gonna say it's amazing. I'm not gonna say it's like top tier because it's a Dynamo. It's a Dynamo, like, if you know, it's just a Dynamo without, you know. But the fact that you gain armor and then you get low, that you can actually use healing effects is actually really nice. Like, this is a nice card. Like, if you need early game and you want to be able to activate some healing effects, it might not be amazing level, but I'll say it's great. Actually, just the fact that you can activate healing effects in Paladin, you can activate healing effects in Priest, you can activate healing effects in Warlock, you can activate a lot of, and then armor synergy with Warrior and Druid, right? So there's a lot of upside to this card. So I think this card's gonna be quite good. Like, it's gonna seem like it doesn't do much. It's like it says do nothing, right? Battle Cry do nothing, but it's actually a pretty nice effect, I would say. So I like the card. I think this card's pretty good. Holomancer, when your opponent plays a minion, summon a one copy of it. I am not impressed by this card. It's a 5-mana 3/3. It's not like EMP where you kill a minion immediately. And your opponent is not going to like, oh, I'll play my Lich King, you know, into this. No. Or they'll kill the Lich King, your copy, immediately. Or I'll play my Ysera into this. No, you're not gonna, that's not gonna happen. You're gonna play this, and then people are gonna like play like a 4/4 or a 4, like a Yeti, or like a 5/7 or nesting rock or something, right? You get like a nesting rock, and then your card is gonna die next turn. In a lot of cases, the only upside I can see is like if you can protect this, right? So it's like turn 10, you play Holomancer and Nesting Rock immediately, right? And get the taunt on the Nesting Rock, and then you can kind of get those 1/1s. It's like a very, very slow jelly, right? Like it's gonna be like a weaker shroom, a slower jelly, you know, and those cards aren't like super top bucket either. So I'm not thinking this card is gonna be amazing. It's more like a constructed card in some sense, but even in constructed, I don't know if people are gonna run this. Loose specimen. So when I looked at this card initially, I thought this card would suck. Like, it kills all your other minions. But what you're gonna do with this card is you're actually just gonna play it on an empty board. That's what you're gonna do with this. You're gonna play it on an empty board, and then you're gonna have a 5-mana 6/6 on the empty board. That's what people. That's the best way to use this card. Just play it, or you have some kind of, you know, what's the card? The 1/3 that draws a card every time you take damage. But you're essentially just gonna play this on an empty board in arena, and so you're gonna play a 5-mana 6/6. That's pretty good. That's gonna kill a lot of 5-drops. So this seems like a pretty good card. So I don't mind this card at all. I initially thought, oh, it's gonna suck, but I think it's gonna be not bad. Acolyte of Pain, yeah. Okay, so those are the epics, and now we go to the rares. So Giggling Inventor, summon 2, 1/2 Mech. So summon 2 Annoyaltrons if you are familiar with past cards. But if you've ever played against a Annoyaltron, you know they are actually reminiscent of their name. They are very annoying to deal with. So you get two of them, and you get a 2/1 body. It honestly doesn't seem bad. There's a lot of things you can do by having a minion stick on the board. So being able to kind of get minion stickiness, like, you need 5 different sources of damage if you're not playing AoE, and there seems to be less AoE with once the expansion hits, or with the patch changes yesterday. So it's going to be very difficult to kind of, you know, get through every single piece and clear everything. And if you're like protecting something important, right, you should be able to get it surviving a turn if you drop this after it. So it seems like a pretty solid defensive tool if you need the defense, or you can react favorably by having something stick on the board. So I don't mind this card. I think it's going to be better than average. I don't think it's gonna be great, but I think it'll be better than average for sure. Like you can do stuff with it. The only issue, well, I guess there's not like the only issues against ping classes. They can ping off your 2/1, right? And then you're like a 5-drop itself would be better. But if you are playing something that can utilize these little bodies, then Paladin comes to mind, and they're also mechs, so it seems like a fair card. Mechanic Whelp, summon a 7/7 mechanical dragon. So it's a 6-drop, 6-mana 2/2. I don't know what to think about this card, because anytime I think about this card, I think two things. I think silence, and I think Shadow Madness, and then like those are what I imagine. Right, you're gonna get hit by silence. You're gonna get hit by Shadow Madness, and that's gonna be very annoying. Right, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna give this. An maybe it's somewhere between 2.5 and 3. It's I'm gonna give this a 3. Just because the fact that there is a lot of easy answers to this card makes it a little less consistent, and then the fact that like the punishes are so hard. They're so punishing. Like if you get hit by Shadow Madness when you play this, you've lost the game, right? It's you play a 6-drop, they play a 4-cost card that says deal 2 damage to your own minion, then summon a 7/7. That's you can't recover from a swing like that. So the fact that the punishes are too strong or very strong is what's preventing it from being like a really solid minion. Missile launcher. This card seems fairly good, right? It's magnetic, right? So you can stick it on like poison mechs. Basically the hunter mech. Another thing is that you can it deals 1 damage to everything, right? So it goes face, right? You can deal 1 damage to face if you need to, and it also it's an AoE, right, of some kind, some magnitude. Right, another cool thing you can do with this, right? You play this on 6, right? They kill it or whatever. Then you play the Worgen Abomination and just wipe their board. It seems like a playable card. I think it's gonna see some play in a lot of runs, right? You'll try it out and you'll think, oh, it's not that bad, and then you'll see some play. So. You just gotta be careful not to wipe your own board, but I mean, I don't think you'll be doing that in a lot of cases. It's like a Primordial Drake, right? It's like a weaker Primordial Drake, right? But Primordial Drake is like stupid, so there's no issue here. Replicating Menace. So it's a 3/1 that summons 3/1/1s. Honestly, I'm not sold on this card that much. Getting 3/1/1s is nice if you're running Cult Master or Cauldron or something like that. There's a lot of cards that summon 1/1s in this expansion, so I think like things like Cauldron and Cult Master are gonna see more play than they have been seeing. You haven't been seeing a lot of those in Arena, but there's a lot of like small weenies that you can trigger. It sounds somehow lower than normal, or my speaker's broken. I don't know. That's your thing. So it reminds me of Corpse Disciple, or Curse Disciple. It reminds me of Curse Disciple, I think. Except it doesn't have the attack scoreline, and then the death threat I would also say isn't as strong. So I think it's gonna be kind of a weak card, but you might take it. It has the magnetic effect, and 1/1s can be used from the right decks. Arcane Dynamo, Discover a spell that costs 5 or more. I think this card is going to be quite playable. Not amazing insta pick, but quite a strong card in all things considered. Being able to discover a high costing spell in the right classes is all you need. Alright, and also some classes don't have that many spells. Like Shaman, you can pretty much get whatever you want. And in Mage, there's a lot of powerful high costing spells. In Druid, right? You know, I don't want to be that guy, but people are gonna do that to you. And you know, a lot of classes have good stuff: steeds and flame strikes and volcanoes and the works. So the fact that you discovering a card and then it's from a reduced pool of powerful spells is really just annoying. So I think this card's going to be quite playable, quite good, maybe even better than a 2, right? It might be 1.5 in the right player's hands, but I think it's going to be annoying. Galvanize, reduce the cost of mechs in your hand by 1. I am not a fan of this card. It reminds me of Mech Warper, but Mech Warper was really good. And Mech Warper was a consistent effect, where this one is a battle cry, and it's going to be hard to really make a mech deck where you really care that much about reducing the cost of your mech. It seems like a constructor card, not really fit for arena. All things considered, so I'm not a fan too much. Spark Drill, 6 mana. Death Rattle, add 2 1/1 sparks would rush to your hand. So I actually like this card. I think this card's good. I think this card is a great card. It reminds me of Starfire, but instead of drawing a card, you get 2 1/1 rushes. And Starfire, I think, is undervalued. The only thing is Starfire can go face and Starfire can go through taunts. But in a general sense, it's similar to a Starfire. And then like I was saying, right, there's a lot of 1/1s with Russian that you're getting, right? So Cauldrons are getting better. You know, the other one that I talked about earlier, Cursed Cult Master, is also getting better. So I think it's a 6 mana deal 5, and then you get some value off of it as well. So I like it. I don't mind a card like this. There's also another one, similar to this that we'll talk about. The Unpowered Mauler can only attack if you cast a spell this turn. I honestly am not too much of a fan of this card. I think this card's okay, like below average. I think I'd rather have a 2/3 that can always attack, or a 3/2 that can always attack. This 1 extra health, just for no reason, just and 1 extra health and having a requirement for attacking, I think, is going to be kind of annoying. Like, you're not gonna want this. I think you're gonna rather have like a regular minion. I might even make it a 4. You know, the only thing bringing it up is that it's a mech, so you can like put taunt on it or something like that. But I'm not a fan of this. It's somewhere. It's like it's not a good card in my opinion. Like, I don't respect the fact that you have to play something to attack. It means you can't curve properly, right? Instead of playing a 3-drop, you'd have to play a spell if you want to trade up. I'm not a fan of it. It's definitely not a card I favor. Next we've got Spark Engine. Battlecry, add a 1/1 spark with rush to your hand, right? So this is what I'm talking about. There's a ton of these, right? There's a ton of these 1/1s with rush. So I don't hate this card, right? It's I don't hate this card. I mean, I don't hate this card. I think it's gonna be not premium, right? But I think you can play it, right? Like, it's gonna depend on what type of deck you have, right? But these 1/1s with rush are gonna be very annoying in a lot of cases, because like there are gonna be decks that just have a ton of 1 damage sources, and you're just gonna be like, yeah, I guess you can do that. I guess you can ping off everything, right? So it's gonna give a lot of non-ping classes the ability to ping, which is really nice because I play a lot of non-ping classes, so it's nice to have that pinging ability. So I like this. I don't think it's great. Like this, if it was a 2/2, it'd be it'd be good. But it's a 2/1, so it's pingable. So that makes it a little bit worse for me. But it's not a horrible card. So let's go to a neutral card. So it's a 5-mana 5/5 with magnetic. I honestly think this is like pretty good, pretty great. I think a 5-mana 5/5 is like a great stat line, like a solid stat line. And then having the magnetic effect, so if you have a mech on turn 4, you can just pop off and Blessing of King plus your minion, and you know how good that card is. So I think this card has really good upside, and the baseline is also pretty good. So I really like this card. I think this card is fairly solid, all things considered. Upgradable frame bot. This arm isn't included, by the way. You just get this little body. However, I think this card has some upside to it. Like a 1/5, it looks like weak. It dies to everything, but if you have any magnetized synergy, this card is gonna be very annoying, right? So imagine you have like the Spider Bomb, right? The 3-mana magnetized 2/2, right? You make a 3/7 on turn 3. That's pretty good, right? That's gonna be very common. Yeah, in the higher ranges of arena, like 7+ wins, you're gonna see people play this, and then you're gonna think to yourself, "Oh no," because you know they're gonna have some kind of mech synergy, magnetized synergy, and you're just gonna like, "Yep, I saw it coming." And then you play your 3-drop, your weakling, your 4/3, your 3/3, and then they make a 3/7 and kill your minion, and then you're just like, yeah, I knew this was gonna happen. So I think that the potential of this in a lot of decks that draft mechs are gonna utilize the high health of this card and just make it very annoying. So I'm actually gonna rate it better than average. Fateful Lumi, give a friendly mech +1/+1. I don't like this card. It's a 1-drop. It's a 1-drop 1/1. It's like a veteran without the 2 attack. It's like what they so they had a card Argent Sergeant or something Sergeant. It used to be a 2/1 that gave 2 attack, and it was really good when it was 2 attack, but then they nerfed it to a 1/1 that gave 2 attack, and it never felt the same after that. It really didn't have the oomph power to kind of be a threat and make a threat, right? It just made a threat for a turn, and then you don't have, then this 1/1 does nothing. I think that's really the issue with Lumi. It can make a threat, but it's not worth a card. Like you must have some insane mech synergy for you to be popping off with this, but I don't think a lot of decks are going to be able to pop off with Lumis, so I'm not a fan of it too much. Abusive Sergeant, yeah, that's the card. Goblin Bomb, same thing, inconsistent. You're playing a 1-mana 0/2. I might even give it 4.5. You're playing a 1-mana 0/2 with no taunt, with no divine shield. It's worse than a you know what, I might give this a 5. It's worse than what the elemental, the wax elemental. It's worse than wax elemental. It's a wax elemental without taunt, without divine shield, and its death rattle doesn't do anything. You know, it's not worth the card. I don't like it. And wax elemental is already suffering, you know, in the pool. I think this does deserve a 5. Just not a good card. Holy moly. Yeah, don't pick it up. It's worse than Lumi, I would say. Bronze Gatekeeper, magnetic taunt. So it's basically an upgradable frame bot, right? But it has magnetize and it has taunt, so you can play this and make a defensive card, right? It's basically like a Stonehill in a sense, right? You make a Stonehill, I mean, I don't hate the card, but I don't think it's gonna be better than average. I'm gonna give it a below average scoreline. Just the fact that it has magnetized and it's a mech and it can give mech cards taunt, that's fair, but on the baseline on itself, it's not really gonna do much, I would say. So let's see. You can make a 210 on turn 3 if you put this bronze gatekeeper on the upgradable frame bot. A 210 on turn 3, that's pretty good. But that's like high rolling. You're not gonna high roll every time. I'm gonna say it's below average. The baseline is just not good. The baseline's not good. You'd rather have there's a lot of better 3-drops. But you can make it work, but the baseline is not good. Copper Tail Impostor. Battlecry gains stealth until your next turn. I gotta be honest, I love this card. I think this card might be a 1. Maybe a 1.5. But I think this card's insane. It's basically the 4-level Tiger. And Tiger is very, very powerful. I think this card is going to be really good in arena. Just the fact you can't deal with it immediately. I really think this card, it's also a mech. I really think this card is going to do a lot of work in arena. And it might even see constructed play. Like, it seems good enough that you might see this in constructed as well. Just gaining stealth for a turn is insane. Like, it's actually really good. As you can see in things like the Volcanosaurs and the Stealth Tigers and things like that. I'm a fan of this card. I think this card's really good. So I will be playing this card and picking it up when I can. Explodinator. I didn't even remember this card. Summon 2/0/2 Goblin Bombs. So it's a 4-mana 3/2 that summons Goblin Bombs. Not a fan of these Goblin Bomb synergies that they're throwing at us. I'm not a fan. Like, maybe if I'm playing Hunter, some weird Hunter deck, I can get it to work. But in general, I'm not a fan of a lot of these Goblin Bomb cards. So I think it's quite bad. Not good for me. Skater Boy, hey, Skater Boy. I don't know what to think about this card, to be honest. Like, I don't know what to think about this card. So +1/+1, give a Mech Rush. I mean, seems okay, but doesn't. I don't know what to think. I have a question mark. I really don't know how good or bad this is gonna be. Yeah, it's really gonna depend on how many mechs you get in arena, right? Like, how many mechs can you realistically get in arena? Otherwise, it's what's it called? It's the the 1-mana 1/1 beast charge card. Right, it really depends on how many mechs. If you don't get that many mech where you can't use this consistently, then it's gonna suffer. I'm gonna give it a 3, maybe a 3.5. I'm not sold that you're gonna get so many Stone Tux Boy. I'm not gonna get sold that you're gonna get so many mechs that this card is gonna be like not a dead card when you top deck it after turn like 5 or 6. Right, so I don't know. I'm not super hopeful on it. Brainstormer, gain 1 health for each spell in your hand. Well, before the 12.0 patch changes, I would have said this card is playable, quite good. But now after the patch changes, there's a lot less spells that you get in your decks, unless you're drafting like really bad spells. So I think this is gonna be like a 3-mana 3/2, a 3-mana 3/3, maybe a 3-mana 3/4, and it's gonna be like inconsistent a lot of times. So I'm gonna give it a below average scoreline. Like a 3-mana 3/3, I would say is quite bad with no battle. Yeah, I might give it a 4. Like I don't think it's I don't think it's gonna be super powerful. Um, just the fact that they removed a lot of spells in arena, and then the consistency is not as much. So, um, I mean, there is a world where you make a 3/10, right? On turn, like you're playing Warlock, right? And then you make a 3/10. I I mean, but what when is that gonna happen? That's not gonna happen really. In most games, this card's not gonna be super good. So I'm gonna give it a low score. Bulldozer. The weakness of this card is the EMP, and then the fact that it costs 9 mana. EMP hitting this thing, you cry every time, right? Like you really cry every time. And then it costs 9 mana, so you can't combo with hero abilities. You also it also it's like it's very reminiscent of Force Tank Max, right? And a lot of people in the Force Tank Max days didn't really play the Force Tank. I would say it was only used by very greedy players like myself. So I don't really see this being super prominent, I would say. I'm not gonna say it's horrible, unplayable, but I'm gonna say it's close. I'm gonna say it's below average, but not quite bad, but below average. So, there are some cards that can synergize with this. I'm thinking like the Warrior Boom Ship, but that's a legendary, and I don't know. I think it's gonna cost a lot, but if you can play it, you're gonna have to deal with this, right? If it hits you in the face for 9, and it's still a 9/7, like you're gonna have to deal with this thing if you want to live. So I think it's playable. Cloak Scale Chemist, Stealth Divine Shield, 2 mana 1/2. It's not a mech though. It would be a lot better if it was a mech. I think this card's fairly good, actually. I think this card's fairly good. The reason being that stealth is an interestingly powerful mechanic, and but it's the Divine Shield that makes it fairly good, because you can get the free buff on it, right? You don't get the loss of the Divine Shield with the buff, right? So you play this on 3, you pull like a elixir, then you have a 3/4, right? And you can deal 3 damage, have a 3/4, right? You can play Busting of Kings on this, right? So you'll have a 5/6, right? And you kill whatever 3 or 4 drop they played, right? The fact that it gets the Divine Shield is what makes it playable. But you can't pick it in every deck. It has to be a deck with buff synergies, right? So, keep that in mind. But if you do like combo it with Blessing of Kings, if you do combo it with elixirs, what else is a good buff? I don't know. I don't know. Dire Wolf. Right, there's I don't know. There are ways to make it playable, so I don't mind it. Damage Stegadon. So it's a 6 mana 5/12 that deals 60 minions. So I see this like people upgrading this. Like I mean evolving into this, not upgrading, but and that might be interesting. So we'll but in general it's a 6 mana 5/6, which is fairly weak. That's the issue, right? Like in most cases it's gonna be a 6 mana 5/6. And even like in Priest it's gonna be a 6 mana 5/8. I mean 8 mana 5/8. It seems like like on a baseline level it's not super powerful. It's gonna require synergy to be a bit better, but it's not unplayable. I think this is gonna be average. Yeah, I don't see a ton of obvious synergy with the card. You're gonna have to combo with other cards for it to be really good. Yeah, I mean, if yeah, but you're spending 2 cards to do that. Yeah, I can see resurrect effects making it better. Electro, right? If you're holding a spell that costs 5 or more, gain +1/+1. I think this card's also average. The fact that it's not consistent, right? A 3 mana 3/3 is way less threatening than a 3 mana 4/4, right? So if you have synergy for it, it's a good card. If you don't, it's not a good card, right? And that's basically how it goes. You have synergy for it, it's a good card. If you don't, it's not. So I'm gonna give it the average score line, because if it does hit the spell and you have a 4/4, that's pretty solid stuff. Kaboom bot, death rattle, deal 4 damage to a random enemy minion. So this card is an upgraded what's it called? Volcanic elemental, or what's it called? The upgraded 2 mana 1/1 that deals 3 damage to a random enemy. It's bigger, it's a 2/2 instead of a 1/1, and it deals 4 instead. Unstable element or something. I don't know what it's called. So I'm not a fan of it too much. I don't think it's super good. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be playable, but not super playable. I think I'm gonna give it an average. Volatile elemental, yeah. So I don't think it's horrible, right? Because you can play this on 3, and then they play their 3. You can kill whatever they summon, right? Even kills lone champions. But other than that, it's like it's gonna be inconsistent, because you're gonna play this, and then they're gonna play like a 1/1s, and then it's gonna hit one of their low cost or weak minions, right? You see what you do. You see how you deal with volatile, right? So you'll do something a little bit like that. It's gonna be a little bit better because it has 2 health, so you can't like dagger it or ping it off. You have to actually commit some resources. So it might be better than I think, because the fact that it has 2 health, like that might be why it's better than I think, because 2 health is way different than 1. But on general thought, it seems pretty average because there are ways to play around it. Mecha Rue Death Rattle, summon a 1/1, so it's a 1/1 that summons a 1/1. Honestly, I don't hate that. It reminds me of the Hunter card. The bad alley cats, kind of like a slower alley cat. It reminds me of the Warlock card, right? It's basically the Warlock card. Possessed Villager, yeah. And Possessed Villager was pretty solid in Warlock, so having another copy of it is it's not bad. Like, it's also a mech. I assume both are mechs. Seems like a fairly decent 1-drop. I don't mind it. I think it's gonna be good. Like, seems like something you can play on 1 and get consistent value, and then yeah. Like if you're playing an aggressive deck with 1-drops, I think you pick this up and it will do some work for you. So I don't mind this card at all. I think it's fairly solid, good stat. I mean, good effect, and they have mech synergy, so I don't mind. Microtech Controller, Battlecry, summon 2 1/1s. So it's a 3 mana 1/1 2 1/1/1. So it's like a worse egg napper, in my opinion. So worse egg napper. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not super sold on this. I'm not super sold. The fact that it has 1 health, it's gonna get pinged immediately. Yeah, I'm not super sold. I think that the fact that they all have 1 health makes it very vulnerable to removal effects. Yeah. Yeah, the issue is that they all have 1 health. Right? If it was like a 2/2, I think it'd be really strong though, but yeah, the issue is that they all have 1 health, so it's very weak to removal. Pilot's Reaper summons a random minion from your hand that costs 2 or less, so it's like a Shredder, but you lose a card. But Shredder was insane. So if you have a trigger on it, it's still gonna be, it's basically a Shredder. But you lose a card, and that's an issue. And you're not gonna get any like crazy random effects as well. I'm not super sold on this card. I'm not super sold on this. Cause you're also gonna play your 2-drops. Like that means you're running 2 2-drops in your hand though. You have 2 2-drops, right? You have 1 to play on 2, and then 1 to play for the Reaper. That's not super consistent. So I think it's gonna be average. It's gonna be better than average if you have synergy, right? But if you are, counting the times that you don't have synergies as the 4-mana 4/3 mech, that's not super good. So if you keep that in mind, I don't think it's premium. I think it's just gonna be pretty average. Rusty Recycler. It's the 4-mana 1/6 taunt lifesteal, but it costs 1 more mana for 1 more health. Yeah, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. I don't think so. I think it's gonna be better than the 1/6 because 2 attack is way better than 1 in terms of lifesteal healing. So you might heal for 4 instead of 2. Might heal for 6 instead of 3, right? And that can be effective, but it still costs a lot for not a lot of value. So I'm not a fan of it. Wally, I can see the resemblance, yeah. I can see the resemblance. Spring Rocket, 3 mana, battle cry, deal 2 damage, 2/1. I kind of like this card. It reminds me of like a Fire Plume Phoenix, right? But it comes out earlier and it has a worse body. I actually like this card. I think it's going to be pretty good. Just dealing 2 damage is really powerful, and it's not like to a minion. It's anywhere, right? So you can kill people with this thing. I like flexible cards like this. So it's also a mech, whatever that means, So I like the card. I think it's good. It's pretty playable. I'd run a couple copies of this if I could. Steel Rager. Steel. Well, Cthulhu was Cthulhu in the arena. I don't think I was around for that. So, yeah. Steel Rager. It's a 4-mana deal 5, right? I like this card. 4-mana deal 5. It's basically a fireball. I mean, no, it's not. It's basically a. Is there a 4-mana deal 5? There has to be, right? There has to be, right? There's a 4-mana deal 5. Well, it's basically like a weaker fireball, right? But fireball is insane, so I'm a fan of this card. Infinite Wolf, yeah, yeah, sure, why not? But it kills Yetis, it kills banshees, right? It's a very good removal tool. It's also a mech. I mean, that's not a drawback in this archetype, so I don't mind it. Toxicology, give your weapon +1 attack. Anyone remember Auto Barber? Anyone remember how broken beyond belief that card was? Yeah, this is a slightly weaker Auto Barber, but Auto Barber was removed for being too strong. So let's not be and here continues the facts that rogues get like ridiculous neutral card comments, right? Henge Clan Thug, they haven't learned from the introduction of Henge Clan Thug for Arena at least that it's just not right. It's just not right. And then there's also like other synergies, right? You can play a 1-mana 1/3 weapon and then Toxicology on 2 and then have a 2/3 weapon. Seems good, right? Anything with like Shaman, the 2-mana 2/3 weapon and then make a 3/3 weapon. Yeah. So there's synergy with this card. I think it's gonna be pretty good if you have synergy. With it, candle shots and things like that, yeah. Rolling Glider, 2/1, a 2/1, a 2-mana 2/1 that summons a 0/2. I'm not a fan of this card at all. Don't think it's that good. Any of the Goblin Bomb cards I'm not really a fan of. The only one that's playable in my opinion is the Hunter spell, because at least you deal the 2 damage immediately. It doesn't get pinged off. It's consistent. I don't mind the Hunter one, but other than this, not a fan of all these Goblin Gum. I mean, someone is going to make a Goblin Bomb deck, and it's going to work because they're going to have the synergy in the activators, but in general, you're not going to have the synergy in the activators, and it's just going to suffer in a lot of situations, so not too much of a fan of this card, I would say. So all in all, if we go through all the cards, right, we've got a lot of weak stuff, right? Like this is pretty weak, this is good, but not for every class. This is pretty good, this is okay, this is not that good, not that great, pretty good, maybe good, inconsistent, probably good, inconsistent, probably bad, you know, depends on the number of mechs. And, you know, there's a lot of weird cards in the common pool that we'll be seeing a lot of, right? So because of the patch changes, right, there's a lot more common cards, so you're gonna see a lot of these cards, right? And since they're not very very busted, I would say on general, maybe like the Impostor being the best one, you're gonna have a lot of fairness. Oh my god, right? This is gonna happen, right? Impostor on 4, War Gear on 5. That's gonna happen. Impostor on 4, War Gear on 5, and then they're gonna have a 9/9, and you're gonna cry. So, watch out for the comments, right? Just keep in mind that mechs have a lot of synergy, and for the rares, I would say that the best cards is probably the Dynamo and the missile launcher. Those two, missile launcher, it's like a weaker Primordial Drake, and then the Dynamo, it's discover a powerful spell, right? Discover a Scream, discover a Mind Control, discover a Flame Strike, discover a Meteor, discover a Volcano. You know, those level of cards, that's gonna be nasty. Same thing with and with the epics, it's probably gonna be the EMP. The EMP operative being the best one, just because there's gonna be a insane number of mechs in arena. At the very beginning, people are just gonna pick the new cards, and then you're gonna have to kind of re-adapt, as well as the Omega Defender. Just being able to summon a 10/6 for 4 at some point is pretty powerful. And none of the legendaries are really enticing except for the Zilax. The rest of these legendaries are whatever. Just the Zilax, the yellow card. So seems good. And then that's about it for the neutral cards reviews. Lots of interesting stuff there. And then if you haven't seen the class card reviews, check out the previous video. Did a pretty long-winded explanation of what I think it will do for Arena. So seems good. Now we're probably cutting it here.